President Barack Obama's State of the Union address Tuesday evening is drawing sharp criticism from the Republican Party and praise from his own party. No surprise on either account there. Republicans frustrated President Obama failed to acknowledge his party's declining popularity with voters, while Democrats were pleased he didn't waver on his administration's plans for 2015. Republicans also charged President Obama took credit for an economy that hasn't improved as much as he believes. Joining us now from the Oklahoma's Washington, D.C. Bureau is Chris Casteel. Thanks for joining us today, sir.
Yeah, glad to do it, Dave.
It was an interesting speech, and it was a president who spoke with a lot of confidence from what I saw. Chris, from your perspective, what did the speech accomplish?
Well, I think what it accomplished was basically to tell the American people and to maybe reinforce to the Republican and Democratic lawmakers in the chamber last night that the next 2 years, despite what happened in November, the disastrous election results for his party, despite that, he's going to stick to what he said he's been talking about. He's been talking about for the last 6 years, and I actually thought it was a pretty cohesive speech. I've been at every well, not every major, but a lot of the major speeches that the president has made. Going back to Denver in 2008 when he was nominated, and Charlotte in 2012, both inaugurations, and I've always been underwhelmed really by his speeches. And I've never really thought that he quite ever lived up to a lot of the hype about his public speaking. I'm not saying that he's not good. He's good. But the way some people talk about him is, like he's the greatest orator that ever lived. But I thought last night, just in terms of a political speech, it was much better than the ones he's made before, where he really does just get too into the weeds with some of this policy. I thought he laid it out, tied it up all together at the end, and I thought it was kind of interesting at the end when he talked about that 2004 speech and the cynics about him talking about we don't have red states and blue states. But at the same time, I do think it's actually kind of cynical on his part to bring that up and talk about it the way he did, because really nobody's been more political, and they all are. That's part of their job, but it'd be hard to point to anybody who's been more political in office than President Obama. So I don't know. I think most people have moved on already, so I'm not sure accomplished anything in terms of policy.
Well, one thing it accomplished for President Obama, he got to say those 7 or 8 words that every president wants to say, and then that is the State of the Union is strong. We're on the phone with Chris Casteel from Washington, D.C. And Chris, given that speech and the Republican reaction to it, should there be realistic hopes that this Congress will achieve anything significant? And I guess if you look at Obama's got 2 years left, he's probably got a window of 8 or 9 months to get things done, right?
You're absolutely right about that. And my feeling is, probably not. After that speech last night, I think, I think both sides, and we could be surprised. I'm just speculating, but I just felt like last night he came out to say, I'm not backing down. Here's what I believe. I still believe this. I'm going after the wealthy. I want to, go after this accumulated wealth. Just the top. I'm going after the top 1% again. To remind people, not to make any judgment about it one way or the other, but they've already taxed the rich a few times. Since he's been in office, but both on the Affordable Care Act and then on the fiscal cliff negotiations a few years ago about extending the Bush tax. So this isn't the first time that he's proposed this, and I don't think that we're now, because of sort of the way he has framed it and pushed it, that we're going to have like a legitimate debate about tax reform. It could surprise me, but I listened to the guys on the tax committees last night, and I listened to the president. It just doesn't seem like they have the same objectives, goals, approaches in mind, and it's such a hard thing to do, to rewrite the tax code, to reform it, really, even in minor ways. So there wasn't. If there is something that's going to get done on that, which is a big deal, and it's a big deal what he was trying to address too. Which is It's not anything that started with him or President George W. or Bill Clinton, with this yawning income gap. I just don't even know if they can even discuss it together. So, I hate to be so pessimistic, Dave, but maybe I'm just tired.
But you're in Washington, D.C., and you've seen it happen many, many times. If you're playing the State of the Union bingo game last night, perhaps the phrase uttered most often was middle-class economics. We heard that an awful lot, didn't we?
Yeah, I think he may have coined that. And then there was also better politics, I guess. The one that he said one time, but from what I've read on Twitter today, it's the very first time it's ever been said, was the word transgender. So
that's right. That was a key point, and perhaps a significant point out of that speech that we'll look back on one day. He's Chris Casteel from the Oklahoman's Washington, D.C. Bureau. More coverage from Chris can be found in the Oklahoman and online at newsok.com. Chris, thank you for your time today.
Thank you, Dave. I appreciate it.